each week, you, yes you, eat one entire credit card worth of plastic. That equals just about 15 plastic bags each year. How can this be possible? Well, as you may know, humans release loads of plastics into the environment. A fact that isn't very surprising is that some of that plastic comes back to us. Microplastics, which are really small pieces of plastic, end up in our drinking water, and thus, in us.
This, unfortunately, hasn't just affected us. We have since the 1960s made the life of marine animals a living hell. Seabirds eat so much plastic that they have no space left in their stomachs for food. They feed the chickens plastic, which causes them to die prematurely. This has gone so far that we will have more plastic than fish in our oceans by 2050. And all of this is our fault.
In 2018, a young whale got stranded on a beach in Spain. The event confused the scientists and got worldwide attention. After some investigation, it was found that the whale had no less than 30 kilograms of plastic in its stomach. Luckily, we are not helpless when it comes to plastic waste. There are numerous of solutions that are merely theoretical but could become practical, and some that are already put in action. How could the world come to this?
One of the main reasons for plastic in the ocean is that the rich countries are shipping the garbage to countries with a poor economy that don't have the knowledge about how plastic affects the ocean. The countries are so poor that their only economic source is the receiving of plastic from wealthier countries. The poor countries usually don't have the money to build a treatment plant, which leads to the plastic getting in the ocean easier.
The plastic bag you dropped on the ground yesterday didn't stay on the ground. It flew away with the wind and ended up in the ocean. Most of the things we use in our daily life, like our toothbrush, coffee cups from Starbucks, and plastic cutlery, are made out of plastic, and many of those things are just used once. People throw plastic bags and plastic bottles in the toilet where they don't belong. Some countries don't have a treatment plant, and then the things you flush down will go straight into the ocean. The reasons why plastic is found in the ocean is because of us. We are the problem.
One of the main reasons for plastic in the oceans is that people around the world don't recycle their garbage. The reason is very simple. Recycling costs a lot of money, which means that only countries with a good economy can afford this opportunity. Countries that are poor and have a weak economy dump their garbage in rivers, lakes, and forests. Meanwhile, if you recycle your garbage, it will help the oceans, and you will get energy because you transform the energy through burning.
Plastics are a range of synthetic organic compounds. The first type of plastic was invented in the year 1907 and was known as bakelite. And it was a revolutionary invention, and since then, plastic has been improved and used more frequently. Plastics are made out of different petrochemicals, or more known as fossil fuels. Today we use plastic in most of the things. The bad thing about plastic is that it takes thousands of years for nature to break it down. And it gets everywhere, mostly in the seas, where there are a huge problem to the ocean's organisms.
Microplastic in the ocean is a problem that's been around for several decades, ever since the production of plastic drastically increased back in the 70s. Since then, the problem has gotten exponentially worse, and it's now almost 40 times as much microplastics in the ocean as it was 50 years ago, with it now being millions of tons of microplastics in the different oceans all around Earth. This is something we need to act upon quickly, or otherwise it will become a big problem for both the animals and the people of the future.
Globally, the oceans have been steadily warming since the 1970s. Since the beginning of the 1990s, this warming is twice as fast as before. The warming, in combination with an increased inflow of fresh water, makes the ocean more stratified, which in turn leads to a reduction in the mixture at depth. This reduces the levels of oxygen and the nutrients for many marine organisms.
Half of the plastic that ends up in our oceans comes from 5 countries. Those are China, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Sri Lanka. On top of that, China stands for almost 1/3 of the plastic produced yearly, and although the biggest problem may seem to be Asia, the biggest demand for plastic comes from European countries such as Germany, Italy, Poland, Spain, Great Britain and France. These request about 70% of the plastic that's being used in Europe yearly, most of it being single-use. Sadly, as studies show, plastic production continues to increase. Between 2005 and 2015, the production increased with 30%. In 2015, 322 million tons were produced. About 4% of the plastic ended up in oceans. It may not seem to be a lot, however, we're talking 30 million tons that get dumped into the ocean each year, which in fact is a big amount.
With the yearly production accumulating a total of 322 million tons of plastic, a healthy ocean is slowly becoming a distant dream for many. And with third world countries developing at a pace seldom seen before and transferring into a new plastic age, the demand will increase, and we are hard-pressed to find a solution that doesn't involve plastic. But many people still got a positive attitude towards plastic because it's a wonderful material. That's why it's used and industrialized at such an enormous scale, and that's why we try to combat the problem.
The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, also described as the Pacific Trash Vortex, is a gyre of marine debris particles in the central North Pacific Ocean. The collection of plastic and floating trash originates from the Pacific Rim, including countries in Asia, North America and South America. The patch is estimated to be 87,000 tons of plastic and totaling 1.8 trillion pieces. The patch covers 1.6 million square kilometers.
Top 5 biggest countries that attributes to plastic in the ocean are in Asia. They are quite poor and don't know how to handle plastic as well in Sweden. And the countries are China, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam and Sri Lanka. They attribute to about 50% of the plastic in the ocean.
The new EU rules was adopted at the MEPs on 27th March 2019 to tackle lost fishing gear and the 10 single-use plastic products most widely found on European shores. These new rules were also approved by the Council in May 2019. Plastic will be banned in certain products and be replaced with more sustainable materials. Member states will be compelled to collect 90% of single-use plastic drinking bottles by 2025. Member states will also be compelled to raise consumers' awareness about the negative impact of littering of single-use plastics and fishing gear, as well as about the available reuse systems and waste management options for all these products.
Marine life is severely affected by the increasing levels of single-use plastics in the ocean. Pictures of turtles with a straw stuck in their nose has shocked the world and completely banned single-use straws in large companies such as McDonald's, etc. The turtles have become a wake-up call to society to think about the consequences of plastic use. However, turtles aren't the only marine animals affected by single-use plastics, such as bags or straws. It severely affects major parts of the ecosystem in the world's oceans, as it destroys the natural habitats of both small and large animals.
Our oceans are built up by hundreds and hundreds of different ecosystems that depend upon each other. Every tiny particle depends on another. Everything from plants to bacteria are crucial for the survival of our marine life. That's where plastic plays a humongous part. Today, plastic is found in oceans all over the world. The fish is consuming dangerously large amounts of microplastics and it's harming their health. Fish has been found dead or severely harmed, all to the cause of consuming plastics. According to an article, there was a whale found stranded at the coast of Seattle with at least 20 plastic bags in its stomach. The fish in the oceans are dying and are no longer contributing to the function of the ecosystems. Because every part of every ecosystem is crucial for their survival, there will be large consequences if a lot of fish starts to die.
Additionally, the plastic even threatens the coral reef's lives enormously. Our emissions of plastic in the ocean usually get stuck among the reefs, which weakens the reefs by averting the sunlight and oxygen from it. Besides being nice looking, reefs are really good groins. This can be seen in their ability to prevent tsunamis along with other heavy waves. It's also important for aquatic animals. Almost 2 million of the marine species are dependent on the reefs. Henceforth,
If the reefs depart its life or get sick, the sea creatures who need the reefs will also die out. In consequence of that, the biodiversity in the sea will change. When one species dies out, the animals that use that as a nourishment will also go extinct, and so on, which will destroy the whole ecosystem in the ocean.
Marine animals and plants. Animals at sea like fish and sea animals, their life is in danger due to plastic in the ocean. What's happening is that animals eat microplastic, tiny pieces of plastic that get into their bodies. After that, animals eat each other and get plastic too. And this microplastic contains poisonous chemicals. It has effect on animals, be sick or die. Also, these animals suffer much before they die, and all this can lead to lose them in the future.
Plastic in the oceans can have some biological effects on humans too. Microplastics can be eaten by plankton that can pass the problem up the food chain to humans. Animals such as fish can also ingest microplastic. When humans eat these fish, they ingest the plastic as well. Plastic has also been found in tap water and salt, among other things. Harmful chemicals are used in the production of some plastics. These chemicals, when ingested, can interfere with the body's endocrine system. This can lead to neurological, reproductive, developmental, and immune disorders in humans as well as animals.
If we throw all our plastic in the ocean instead of recycle it, we will lose a lot of material that could be very useful for use. Our waste of plastic will result in the making of more. To make more plastic, we need to bring up new fossil fuels from the ground. The carbon dioxide emissions are going to increase, and the climate change will also increase drastically. It will lead to terrible consequences for human life. Climate change warms up the earth, the ice will melt and the sea level will rise. Then a lot of floods will occur. Places that's already hot today will become even warmer.
To solve the problem at hand, we are going to have to see some big changes, and it's not just in us as people, but as residents on planet Earth. We all need to rethink our plastic consumption. All of us are going to have to start implementing the zero waste vision into our people, communities, and countries. We need to get everyone on board on this vision so that we can work towards a common goal. Everyone needs to do their part, because this cannot work if only a few are trying while the rest is contributing to the problem at hand.
During 21 months, a guy named Afrooz Shah and volunteers collected 5.3 million kilograms of plastic and garbage on the 2.5 kilometer long beach Versova. As a result, the beach regained its ecosystem. That's what we need to do with the plastic we already have used. We can do this by organizing regular beach cleanups to help beaches regain its ecosystems and therefore animals can retake their habitats.
Only the countries in the European Union generates 26 million tons of plastics per year, but only 30% of that is being recycled. To recycle the plastics is another solution to the problem, since it prevents that it's being thrown into nature. The recycling also brings a lot of other benefits. For example, it gives the opportunity to produce plastics without extracting new oil.
I would say that the smart thing for the environment is to recycle and reuse. A good thing is paper replacement and renewable plastics. Therefore, man beings to create a better world, but we're still far from it. Furniture created from plastic and other crap is beginning to become a reality. People are searching in the oceans and catching a lot of rubbish. After a larger demand, it leads to more rubbish being caught, and a better sea is created by recycled plastic furnitures.
We can solve the plastic problem by increasing the plastic tax. This can solve the problem because fewer will buy plastic, because if something gets more expensive, fewer people can afford plastic. This contributes to fewer plastic products are purchased, and the companies that make the plastic will reduce productions, and it leads to less plastic in nature and ocean.
Since we still don't know everything about the plastic problem, it is really important to get more knowledge about this special topic. This we can do by increasing the mapping, surveillance, and research of the plastic. For example, we know that the plastic, after a while, breaks down to small particles, but we don't know exactly where the material ends up and how to get rid of it. So it is really important to establish organizations that will research and do tests. One of these organizations is Research Expedition Vessel. They believe that the world's oceans are under great pressure and increasing the global importance. Their goal is to research and find solutions to this problem and then educate younger generations because the need for knowledge is enormous. We as a part of the community should engage ourselves in this question and donate money or help in every way possible.
We went around school interviewing various age groups, and the popular opinion amongst the younger audience is that plastic in the oceans is a current problem regarding wildlife as well as humans. However, there isn't much pre-known knowledge regarding the topic other than the situation regarding turtles and plastic straws. Furthermore, the youth doesn't seem to think that our politicians do much about the issue at hand. They know about the raised taxes on plastic bags and the reducing of plastic products such as straws. However, they don't think this is actually solving the issue at hand, consequently thinking it's more of a nuisance.
My theme is that these plastic emissions won't get resolved by these solutions, and rather we should stop using plastic products and rather choose reusable products, thus reducing our plastic emissions, something the youth seem rather willing to do. There was even one kind of odd idea that involved the implementation of garbage men in the ocean, which may be a little unrealistic but not an entirely bad idea.
There isn't that big of a fear amongst youngsters. The general idea is that the problem isn't that pressing right now and something which can be resolved later, consequently leading to more relaxed attitudes amongst youngsters. On the other hand, there's still worry amongst the youth regarding our future.
Most of the older people are agreeing on that it is a bad thing, the plastic in the oceans. Most of them don't know how to solve it. They mostly just trust in the politicians. They do think that it is getting better and better, and that society is giving more care to the environment and thinking more about the problem. Most of them try to help the environment more and more by doing just regular things like recycling. And to summarize, most of them want to help the environment.